The news just came down. According to the feds, they claim that they have a confidential informant that will accuse Lil Durk of sponsoring or paying for 6 hits, which means 6 contract killings that they believe may have been carried out or attempted. Okay. Now, this came in some paperwork that was filed. And now I have to be clear here. The paperwork we're seeing so far isn't paperwork that is of sworn testimony, but it is of declarations and also a preview to some of what is going to be presented in court. Now, some of this stuff is going to be inadmissible no matter what. But apparently, in them turning over all of the discovery, which is going to be the evidence they plan to use against him, they have decided, they have now let Durk know that they have multiple people that are confidential informants. Now, you're going to hear my overall and end-all thought with this is that I think Durk could beat this case. A lot of times when we see these salacious things is because the feds want to sway, really, the public. And I'm not saying the feds play the media game, but look at the Diddy case. They kind of do play the media game. That video of Diddy leaking really weighed a lot on a lot of people's minds in thinking, is he guilty or innocent of anything? When you put out that, hey, and by the way, there's right now, because these submissions aren't actual testimony, there's no need to prove factuality. But when you put out these things like, oh, hey, he may have been responsible for 6 murders, it starts to poison the mindset of a lot of people who might just think, oh, this is a one-off that Durk got caught up in a compromising position or wrong place, wrong time, hanging around the wrong crowd. That's how he got the situation. It turns him to this maniacal, evil guy who is literally playing judge, jury, and executioner and literally playing God with people's lives. So they're saying that a confidential informant is CW1 has provided information to them about shootings and other overt actions that OTF members have done and they've committed on behalf of Durk. They said found the murder of King Von, aka Davon Bennett. The affidavit further disclosed that CW1 knew that the defendant Banks placed other monetary bounties for the murder of people with whom defendant Banks was feuding with, including 6 other individuals. The affidavit also lists significant evidence corroborating CW1's account of defendant Banks' involvement in SR's murder. The affidavit further states that CW1 provided information about shootings and other overt acts. Yeah. And the affidavit provided a specific example of racketeering activity in which the defendant Banks and other OTF member participated, specifically in Atlanta. Robbery turned into a shooting, which Banks and Davon were both charged and with attempted murder and participation in a criminal street gang, which, by the way, they're not mentioning here that it was actually dropped. Here's the thing. The feds have beefed up in these pretrial declarations. They've beefed up a lot of things, but they're not coming with nothing that's holding water. I think Durk could beat this. Now, I know some of y'all, like, because of the salacious content, when we hear 6 hits, number one, he's charged for 1 murder, okay? Every other murder they've actually thrown in the pot or they're speculated. I'm not saying Durk didn't do these things, okay? I'm not here to speak to his character or to speak to what the facts might actually be. I'm only speaking to what the prosecutor is coming with. They've mentioned that he killed somebody that was in revenge for his brother dying, but he ain't charged with it. It is what it is. He's not charged with it. We waited, trial is supposed to start, I believe in January or something of the sort. If they had more murders, they would have charged it. So now it's a bunch of hearsay. And by the way, Durk might have did it. But if you can't come with the charges, it means you don't got enough to even have probable cause to bring that to a court. So mentioning it, these things won't get mentioned in trial. It'll get mentioned in a detention hearing, which that's what we're reading a lot of times. It'll get mentioned in sometimes, these motions for whatever, or them explaining how discovery is being given out, or sometimes it's like it's their answer to certain motions. You get a lot of leeway to mention these things, and they all go viral. But none of these things are actually in court. None of them are chargeable. None of them I'm seeing him charged with. He's not charged with for the Montgomery Wilson murder of Stephon Mack. He's not charged for that. They're now saying there's 6 hits. Who are the people who died? Who were the bounties? And here's the problem, and this is why I think that Durk might actually beat this. I keep waiting for the dead to rights shit. CW1, which is confidential witness 1. Check this out. They're a criminal too. They're probably a shooter. They're probably on camera or caught dead to rights, so they have to do the telling. Here's the point. I think I've been waiting for this like dead to rights situation with Durk. Even if there's 2 or 3 snitches, if those guys are the guys who are the actual murderers and killers, I think Durk stands a fighting chance that if a jury, all they have to go off is loose credit card records, which yes, it doesn't look good that credit card records probably paid for the flight of some of the guys who did the murder, but I think that's an easy thing to address in court. There is multiple trips. Like Durk travels probably like twice or 3 times a week. He never goes alone. He goes with niggas. He travels with hood niggas. There's probably situations where he's flown to Miami and one of his niggas got in a fight, or I don't know, maybe did some bullshit. Did he pay for that too? Again, we have to think about a scenario where if we don't have Durk affirming that he was going to pay money or affirming that killed this person directly, yes, we have people saying that he did, but if we have no audio, nothing on text that's really like, we got you, I think, and we've seen in the Hernandez Gavon case, I know that's a state, he has a fighting chance that maybe a jury won't convict him for life. Remember, if he gets convicted, it's life imprisonment immediately, just off of what another criminal is saying. Like, does he have motive? Of course, but everybody who would like King Von would probably want to see, I'm pretty sure the mom of King Von and the sister of King Von would want to see Quando Rondo or Lil Pop or Lil Tim dead, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of people with motive. We need more, and as much as I feel like the feds are throwing in shit that's making the media, it sounds good, but it means nothing. You have a confidential snitch that is saying that Durk is responsible or has put out 6 hits, so come with 6 murders. Where the 6 murders at? We have 1. Oh, we have proof that he slid for his brother. What's the proof? Well, the killers said, when is Durk and OTF gonna pay? Do you have wire transactions from Durk paying them? Do you have Durk talking to them saying, yo, I'm finna pay you? Is Durk talking to them direct? Again, if they had these things, they would have charged them. So again, I do know a lot of us, we're going off of the 97% conviction rate by the feds, and I'm not doubting that they're not usually good at their motherfucking jobs. The point of what I'm saying is that I'm looking at the discovery and everything they claim to have. Nothing is Durk telling on himself. Nothing, I mean, some stuff don't look good. And if we were in a common sense court, we'd probably be like, man, Durk might have been behind that shit. But this is actual court where it goes off beyond a reasonable doubt. Not because common sense says, I know one of them ones. Like, yeah, he probably did. You can't do that. So I'm looking for a lot more meat and potatoes to really make this a real thing. And all they're telling me is that they got like a couple of snitches and then a lot of circumstantial stuff that would kind of help make the point that he most likely did it. I still think Durk has a fighting chance. And from what I'm seeing currently, when they keep mentioning shit that he's not charged with to give the image that he's a nigga that would do what he's charged with, it tells me he has a fighting chance. And I know y'all gonna be sitting there like aki'scook.com. I get it. Like, if you think about what the media is reporting on, most of this shit is not affecting the trial. Yo, we got an Apple Watch in jail. Whoop-dee-doo. Cool. He's phone sexting with his girl, whatever, to get his rocks off. Who cares? Where is the damn evidence? And I've told you, this case will live and die on the cooperants. And for right now, I believe all the cooperants are all criminals who are either charged already or are buried up with charges up to their neck that they're hoping to avoid life imprisonment and their damn selves. And I think that's going to weigh interestingly on the jury if they're saying, basically, you're down 6 feet under already, and the only way you could get out of being 6 feet under, because the only way you could get out of life imprisonment is to give Durk life imprisonment. That's why you're telling on him. So we don't know if you're telling the truth. You're incentivized to just tell that you could get out of jail. So how do we really know that you're telling the truth? So that's one of the things that's kind of dawning on me. Second thing that's kind of dawning on me as well is that it was announced that like the feds did a thorough review, and it came out, it was a document filed about the extent of the evidence in discovery. And they're saying we got a bunch of eyewitnesses, or not eyewitnesses, but like snitches, which we expected. But what I also thought, and I thought they would get, is they would go through that phone, that iCloud, and probably find something where somebody sends them a video like, yo, Durk, we got that done. Here's a video of us killing the nigga. Cause some of these sick guys, like, they'd be like, yo, I want to see the video when you do it. Lil Durk phone. But instead, the feds actually came back and they said they reviewed his iCloud, his ex's Twitter, his social media account, and they're saying that they're not going to use any of that. So they're not using no text messages he sent or received, which is like, that's kind of interesting. Maybe they have him on a wiretap. I don't know. We're not hearing nothing that they have Durk saying, or someone saying to Durk directly, that would seem to confirm that this crime that he's charged for in terms of murder for hire, he's actually guilty. Okay, now I'm not saying Durk ain't do these things. All I'm saying is that somebody said, Aki, you're crazy. I don't think I am. I think y'all thinking too much with common sense. Y'all thinking with common sense. Like, the common sense is, man, that nigga got them niggas knocked off. That's common sense. That's common sense. But in a court of law, you can't convict somebody for life based off, man, it sounds like you did it. It got to be, no, we know it's impossible that you did not do it. And that's where I'm making the argument of him potentially beating it. I'm not arguing I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, there's no way he could have done it, but I'm only arguing based on what we're hearing right now. I'm not seeing the beyond a reasonable doubt expectation that a jury would require. Do you get what I'm saying? And for that, because I was with y'all, I'm like, yo, this nigga's cooked. I fell back off it a little bit. I'm like, I think he could beat this. Somebody said, nah, Ak is just good friends with Durk. No. Somebody said, what about Vonnie? We don't even know Vonnie's a cooperating witness yet. We still don't know yet. Someone said, Ak wants to interview? No, bro. I'm honestly looking at... You tell me the evidence, and I feel like I kind of know the case a decent amount. You tell me the evidence that you feel that's going to get him convicted, and I'll see if, I'm thinking reasonably here, because all they got to do is poke a bunch of holes into all these theories, even though I will say it could become overwhelming, right? Like, I think in many cases, even if there's holes in a case, if you have 15 people that say the same thing, roundabout, that's what's going to happen. Just tell me the evidence. I'm looking at King Akademiks chat right now. Somebody said Jam is jamming up, folks. Somebody said look at other famous Fed cases. And also, like, they're putting a lot of fluff in this type of stuff. Like, they're talking about racketeering and stuff like that. It's a murder for hire. I mean, yes, it's a conspiracy charge, but it's not RICO. Vonnie's locked up in Oklahoma. Fed snitches are different than state snitches. They don't play to lose. No, I'm not saying the snitches are gonna go up there and do the YSL Woody. That don't happen in Feds. So it's gonna happen just like how it happened in Memphis. In Memphis, the killer went up there and told exactly what happened. But here's the problem. When you're now trying to connect it to the guy who supposedly paid for it, I'm pretty sure there's no wire receipt. I would hope. There's no wire receipt. Where and when did he meet you and give you the money? Did Durk give you the money directly? Who gave you the money? Was it Dee Dee? Was it Vonnie? How do you know the money came from Durk? Did they say it came from Durk? Okay, cool. Are they willing to say it's Durk? Is Dee Dee gonna flip? Is Vonnie gonna flip? We don't know. We just, again, we're going off a lot of hearsay. And from how I've looked at this murder, let's say this is true, right? Let's say it happened. I've looked at this murder. Durk never talked to the shooters. Durk's contact or connect was with two people, Vonnie and Dee Dee. Dee Dee gets the shooters. Vonnie gets the guns, and he gets the masks. Durk don't deal with payment. Durk don't put no gun in nobody's hand. Durk is not communicating with the shooters. Durk tells his booking people, yo, yeah, I could book whoever, whatever, just don't put none under my name. Okay? Obviously, use a credit card. We get that. Cool. But Durk his defense is going to play ignorant. Oh, we didn't know. We book members all the time to come with us on tour or come to blah, blah. Like, that's a coincidence. You're gonna send somebody to jail for life just because they booked a flight? No. It's gonna happen. We just seen with the J. Breezy thing. The nigga sent the Cash App that's clearly paying for the Airbnb where the killer stayed. They don't have enough to arrest him, right? Because yes, that's probably reasonable suspicion, right? But is it probable cause that he committed a crime because he sent money? The person could have just asked him, yo, I need $397. I'll pay you back tomorrow. Okay, sends it to him. Does it mean that he did the murder? No. Even if he had motive to do it. Now, I'm admitting that there's more probable cause in this Durk case. All I'm saying is that it's going to come down to these snitches telling on Durk. And when they tell on Durk, I believe that Durk will have, with all the money and resources he should have enough to counter all of that to give him a fighting chance. I think you guys are already putting him in the ground to say he's guilty. I just don't believe that. So put it like this. Before now, because they're now kind of revealing that there's more co-conspirators, or like not co-conspirators, but confidential witnesses. Basically snitches, right? The shooter, if the shooter never talks to Durk, how does he put Durk in jail? Well, the shooter gonna say, shooter gonna say Dee Dee or Vonnie. Oh yeah, Vonnie's the one we met up with after the shooting at In-N-Out. Vonnie said he was going to have the money for us. If I'm Durk's attorney, I'm saying, hey, have you seen Vonnie in a jewelry store with Vaughn? Did you see Vonnie owning this? How sure are you that the money that let's say Vonnie did pay him? How sure are you that money that Vonnie paid you came from Durk? Vonnie got money too. How could you ensure that? Maybe the nigga could be like, well, nah, Durk called us on FaceTime right then. Well, now it's your word. Like, you gotta remember, these aren't like innocent victims that's not street niggas that's gonna be the witnesses. These are street niggas that are criminals who killed people. So it's like, y'all are saying the jury got to believe killers who actually pulled the trigger to send Durk to jail. Now, if you put 15 killers up there who all said, nah, Durk all pay us, I think they're going, of course. Shit, you put 5 up there, I'm like, if they all saying Durk did the same thing, same MO, might be. All I'm saying, he got a fighting chance, man. Why is the Fed's evidence sealed from the defense? No, they got to give over all the evidence. Now, some of the stuff is probably under protective order. Like, they're probably trying to make sure certain things don't get leaked. Because remember, I told you it's a case about how the snitches are going to tell on Durk. So if some stuff gets leaked or gets handled in a certain way, the families of those people could be put in jeopardy, which might jeopardize those people actually wanting to cooperate. There's a page on here called Durk Docket or something like that. Let's see. Or maybe it's Durk all day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So Durk is opposing an anonymous jury. Here we go. I think this should be a. So AEO. So Durk has to see the stuff. But certain stuff they're gonna do attorney eyes only, which means Durk could only see it in the presence of his attorney. So sometimes you can have the paperwork of your case in your cell, but they might not want to do that where Durk gets to fucking use his Apple Watch to take a picture to send to the streets, and now the streets have a list of niggas to kill. You get what I'm saying? Like, I bet you want Durk free, kill these niggas right here, and he's good. So there's a bunch of protective orders, right? And they have digital data from co-defendants, right? And co-conspirators and extraction, blah, blah. It's needed so the government could produce, blah, blah, while protecting sensitive information from unauthorized disclosure, right? Which means they don't want their stenches get exposed. Okay. And some of this stuff, let me see. Okay, there's a bunch of BS here. Okay, and Durk's opposition in opposition to the motion. Okay, so this is the opposition to the motion about, Didi, was it Didi or whoever else wanted to separate? I said that it would be good for him to separate because once you separate, you don't have a direct link for Durk. Now, the government is saying we don't want you to separate, and it's saying is listing it why here. Despite blah blah blah. Yeah, it's saying that we can't have them separated because to tell the real story, to tell yeah, if they separate, they won't be able to tell the story of how all of them are involved, and that's the only way to explain how this death happened. Yeah, defendant Banks tried to conceal his participation by acting through trusted intermediaries, including Wilson. So that's what they're saying. We can't get Didi's Wilson. And so if Didi gets off the... I said the same thing before they even filed this. Didi... People felt like Didi was trying to sever his case to snitch. No. Didi's severance helps him and helps Durk. Because Durk never talked to the shooters. He never talked to the shooters. He never paid the shooters. He talked to Vonnie and he talked to Didi. They don't have Durk in this crime without Vonnie and Didi. So that's what the government is saying. We can't bring Didi out of this. Didi's needed for us to prove that Durk did it. It should be denied. First, the defendant attempts to isolate each piece of the disputed evidence, and Okay, cool. So, evidence related to associated shooting and killing. This evidence proves the motive. Blah blah. Evidence prove. Okay. Bank statement on a podcast acknowledged the public pressure to slide for Vaughn. Okay. Yeah, so they just won the motion and said they're saying Durk and Didi are inextricably intertwined, okay? So the jury is entitled to know the circumstances of the background of a criminal charge. Okay. All right. So basically, it's a whole long write-up why they should dismiss this motion to separate Didi from the rest of the guys. Okay. And by the way, anything that's filed here that's redacted, it's not redacted to Durk. So Durk and his lawyers could see this. It's redacted. It's redacted to the docket. So how it's filed is filed with a notation for redaction, because since it's a criminal trial, it's the United States versus Durk ETA all, right? Which is Durk and crew. It's the right of the public to be able to view this information unless a judge deems some of the information private, sensitive, or might disrupt a ongoing investigation or put people in danger. So they could either redact within a document like this, or they could seal it, if you get what I mean, right? If it's the entire document. So they redact here. But Durk and them could get it. You're entitled to see. You're entitled to get anything if you're the actual defendant. The only thing they could do is, with some of the discovery, they could ask a judge to not disclose everything about the discovery. Like, they might be like, hey, we have this thing, we will show it to the defendant because we have to, but we don't want them to have it all day, all night. Like, we want it to be attorney eyes only. So when you're with your attorney, you can see it, but you're not taking it back to your cell to send that shit around that people get killed. Okay. Government intends to introduce a text message thread where Banks sent OTF conspirators, including Didi, a screenshot of Banks taunting a rival. I got him hunting you up. Better have your ski mask on, right? So